This was my one regret when going to Beijing. Hi everyone, it's Tash and welcome to another recipe video. And today we're going to be making Beijing brown sugar sesame buns, also known as Táng or Shāo. Timestamps are down below in the description if you want to skip the initial blah blah, but stick around if you want to hear a little bit about what we're making first. This is a 300+ snack from Beijing, and I really regret not eating it when I was there. We were there for just under 10 days and there were so many Beijing specialties to be enjoyed. And to be fair, we got through most of them, but the only thing we just couldn't fit in were these brown sugar sesame buns. And trust me, we ate a lot. It was fabulous. Just not these buns. Hey, there's only so much one person can eat. So I was determined to recreate these at home, and I knew that I could because it is a relatively simple dish. Every single place that sells these has a slightly different way of making them. They have their own way. Some are fluffier, some are denser, some are stickier, some are drier. Some have more sesame paste than sugar, some have more sugar than sesame paste. You get the general idea. But the basis of the recipe is always the same, and that is a very simple water and flour dough and a filling made with brown sugar and sesame paste. So after reading lots and lots of recipes in Chinese, very slowly because I'm not that great at reading yet, and watching many videos, I just decided to do it as simply as possible. So with all that said, let's go to the kitchen and see how it's done. First we're going to make the dough. Here I have 250 grams of plain flour, and I'm going to add half a teaspoon of baking powder just to give it a little bit of a lift, and a little pinch of salt. And now we're going to gradually stir in some water until it just forms a dough. I have 130 millilitres here. We may not need all of it, so I'm just going to gradually stir in and stop when it forms a dough. As it happens, that was the perfect amount. I'm just going to transfer to my hands now. And now it's come together in a roughish dough. I'm just going to knead it just a little bit until smooth, but we're not going to knead it until it's too springy because we're not making like a proper bread. We're just making a smooth dough, so just knead until it's smooth. There we go, that is enough. Now to stop it from drying out, I'm just going to cover it with a little bit of cling film, and I'm just going to let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes. While we let it rest, we're going to make our filling. To make the filling, I have 100 grams of Táng. This is dark, soft brown sugar. If you use dark muscovado sugar, I think it'll be a bit too dark, so make sure you look out for dark, soft brown sugar, which is a little bit lighter, or you can use half light muscovado sugar, half dark. But I just got this one from my local Chinese supermarket and it is perfect. Bear in mind, if you do use all dark muscovado sugar, it's going to be more bitter. Because obviously it is darker. And if you use light muscovado sugar, I don't think it'll be rich enough. So if you can only find muscovado sugars, then do a half-half. And now I'm going to add 150 grams of sesame paste. Now you can use tahini because it's basically the same thing, but if you buy tahini then it may be lighter. I find the Chinese sesame paste I get in the Chinese supermarket is darker, maybe because they roast it for a bit longer, so the flavour might be a bit different if you use tahini because it tends to be a bit lighter, but it depends on the brand as well. But texture wise, it's going to be the same, so if you can only find tahini, then that will do, because of course it's the same, it's sesame paste, it just may be a little bit lighter in flavour if it's one that hasn't been roasted for as long. But this Chinese one has been roasted for a little longer. As you can see, it's a little bit dark, which is just what we want. And now we're just going to stir it together. And that is our filling done. Now here I have a tiny little bit of vegetable oil. I'm going to use this to oil our work surface a little bit. This will help stop our dough from sticking. I'm just going to slap our dough right on there, give her a bit of a roll around. And now we're just going to roll her out as thinly as possible. Now that we have a really nice thin dough, we're going to take our sweet sesame paste, we're going to spread it all over. In most of the videos I saw, they used their hands because this is quite a thick paste, and I imagine using your hands you can get a better feel for it and you can be careful not to tear the dough. I'm going to try to use the spatula first because I hate feelings of sticky stuff on my hands. It's a sensory nightmare, but if I must, I must. So let's try the spatula first. I'm going to have to go in with my hands. It is easier after all. Now my sugar was a bit lumpy, so it was difficult to mix in. That's absolutely fine. That's going to create lovely pockets of caramel, but most of the time you'll see it mixed very smoothly. It's just that the bag of sugar I got, maybe it got a bit damp inside, but it was very lumpy, and these lumps are very hard, so it was difficult to mix in, but they will melt when we cook our buns. And now we're going to roll it up like a thin cigar. Oh, this doesn't look like a cigar at all, but roll it up like a Swiss roll this way. And now we've got our cigar slash snake. We're going to fold it seam side up into thirds like this, and then flatten it down. Some people flatten it first and then fold it. I'm going for the other method, which is folding and then flattening. Folding and then flattening. Both work. We've got it a bit flatter. Now we're going to take our rolling pin and go back in there. And at this stage the dough is probably going to tear. That's absolutely fine. The filling mixture ends up going all over the dough. But that's exactly what we want. We want lots and lots of layers, and we want lots and lots of that flavourful filling. Now we're going to roll it up one last time and trying to gather as much of that filling as possible. And I'm going to make 4 big ones, so I've got a bench scraper here. You can use a blunt knife or butter knife. I'm going to cut it in half and into quarters. I'm going to cheat actually, because this one's a bit big. I'm going to nick the end off, and because this one's a bit small, I'm going to add it to it on the inside. And now all we need to do is shape these into balls. So you take one end, press your thumb in, and this is where we can hide that extra bit of dough. If you cut things unevenly like me, you just shape it around into a ball, and it doesn't matter because it's all layered up. And that's one bun ready. We're going to do that for all of them now. And that is our 4 buns. Now we have a particular way of cooking them. First we're going to pan fry them for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to bake them. So let's go over to our cooking station. First let's preheat the oven to 180 degrees C. Now over here I'm heating a pan on a medium heat, kind of the same heat that I'd use to make pancakes. I'm going to drop a little bit of oil in. I already have, so I'm not going to drop that much more in. And give the oil a wipe off the excess and leave a little thin layer of oil. And I'm going to drop 2 of my buns in. We'll do them 2 at a time because this is a small pan. Press it down a little bit. And we're just going to let them cook for 2 to 3 minutes on each side. It's been 3 minutes, let's flip them over. After another 3 minutes, I'm just going to flip these over again. You can see they're starting to form a crunchy crust. And I'm going to pop these onto a baking sheet, which I've prepared with some baking silicone, which I like because I can reuse it. As you can see, it's quite old already. I've been reusing this stuff for about 10 years now. It's pretty good. And I'm just going to do the other 2 the same way, 3 minutes on each side. You can see some of that sugar already caramelizing. Right, now finally we're going to bake these in the oven for about 15 minutes. Phew, these are hot and bubbling molten lava sugar. And because they are very hot, we're going to let them cool down before we eat them. As you can see, I've also put these on a wire rack to cool them to keep the buttons nice and crunchy as well, otherwise the buttons might go a bit soggy. There's a lot of moisture in there because of the oil from the sesame, but the tops are very crunchy sounding, that is good. Okay, I'm going to slice one open in a minute. Oh my goodness, check out those gooey layers, absolutely fabulous. I wish you could smell this, smell-o-vision. So nutty and sugary, and listen to that crunchy crust. It's a little paler than I would have liked. The proper ones in Beijing, they really roll that pastry out super thin, so you can actually see the brown sugar filling through the dough more clearly. I couldn't be bothered with that, I am lazy. But it's still lovely and golden, and I'm going to take a bite. Cheers! That is stunning, and I have shards of pastry all over me now. Crunchy and caramelised on the outside, dense but still a little bit fluffy and soft in the inside, and full of that gooey, sweet brown sugar sesame paste. And I'm going to go enjoy it with a cup of tea now. So there you go, Old Beijing brown sugar sesame buns. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed today's recipe video, and I hope you'll join me next Wednesday for my next one. Get the full written recipe on my blog tashcakes.com, follow me on Instagram, I'm tashcakes.tastes, and find me on TikTok too, I'm tashcakes there too, but my handle is food in slow motion. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you'd like to see more, give this video a like if you liked it to help other people find it, comment down below if you'd like me to make anything in particular, and I'll see you all next time. Be good, be nice, and have a good week. I've made a mess as usual.